Now, this part of Texas just recently had quite a bit of rain just dumped on it, all at once, really. And the compost within the chicken tractor on steroids kind of system has gone wet, stinky, anaerobic. It's just absolutely funky. Today, we're going to be fixing it. And something that you can take from this and apply to your own situation is if you have compost that goes anaerobic, and you know it's anaerobic because it's funky. It's just straight up funky, it's slimy, all that type of stuff. That's when you know it's anaerobic. We're gonna be talking about how to fix that today. Before we get into that video, remember Sovereign Health Summit is going to be next October. Barbara O'Neill's gonna be there, Pat Miletich, Dr. Wills, Logan from Cultivate Elevate. There's gonna be a lot of awesome people that all have cures or the way to cure whatever's ailing you. Remember, whatever you're diagnosed with does not have to be a permanent thing. And if you talk to mainstream doctors and everything, typically they just prescribe pharmacia for these symptoms. So if you have something that's ailing you, or if you know somebody that has something that's ailing them, or if you just want more information on natural modalities of healing, then come check out the Sovereign Health Summit. I gotta say, most of what is gonna be taught isn't gonna be like, hey, buy this product. It's going to be a lifestyle change. It's gonna be a diet change. It's gonna be a different approach to your, your daily routine and everything. Can't wait to see you guys there. 5% discount code down below. Capital TPC, remember the Permaculture Consultant, get you 5% off. Use that as a discount code. Also, if you want on-site consultations or a soil biology test, hit up my email down below. Let me know, hey, I want more information on a consultation or a soil biology test, and I'll get back with you. Also, an update on the permaculture design course that I'm teaching over on Patreon. I'm going to be adding something else to that Patreon on top of that. I'm going to be uploading all of my YouTube videos to that Patreon account. So that way you don't have to deal with the ads while you're trying to get to this content. So if you're trying to watch my videos and the ads really are irritating and annoying, same for me. And you don't want to pay YouTube even more money or more of your attention or more of your, really what it comes down to is energy, then go over to Patreon. You can pay me directly if you want to. You can get in for as little as $5 a month and get all the permaculture design course content and all of my YouTube videos that I'm going to produce all ad-free. So can't wait to see you guys over there. That being said, let's get to fixing this anaerobic funky compost. I'm going to take this cage off, and this is going to give me the ability to flip it, which is also going to introduce oxygen to this compost pile, which is going to take it from being anaerobic, which is going to help take it from being anaerobic to aerobic. The only difference between the two is how much oxygen is in the soil. Below 4 parts per million of oxygen is anaerobic. Between 4 to 6 parts per million is going to be aerobic. And right now, this has very, very little oxygen in the system. You can always tell your compost is anaerobic when it's very funky. Like right now, it's hard to be around because it is just that funky right now. Compost, if you pick it up and then like you squeeze it and it just drips water, you know it's anaerobic. If you take your compost and you smell it and it smells bad, it doesn't smell like, fresh earth, then you know it's anaerobic. Also, if you take your compost and it's slimy, it should not be slimy. That's also another indicator of it being anaerobic. And remember, all of your pathogens, all your pests, all your disease, all your blights, all your fungal infections, all of that stuff happens in anaerobic conditions. If we can provide aerobic conditions for our pastures, for our gardens, for our orchards, all that type of stuff, then you have the perfect environment for everything to just kind of heal itself. Now, you notice the chickens that have come over here and they started scratching at this and they started pecking at this and stuff. They're eating a lot of the anaerobic microbes within this compost pile. And if I left this out of the cage long enough, then they would eventually scratch through it and spread it out and everything like that. But honestly, that's just going to take a little bit too much time. I want this to stop sneaking yesterday. So that's what we're going to focus on fixing. And I also wanted to do this in a way so if you weren't doing the chicken tractor on steroids method, you could still go through, apply what you're learning today and fix your anaerobic compost. If you're doing like an 18 method, a Berkeley method, anything where you're flipping it and you don't have your chickens doing the work for you. Now the first thing, and in this application, what I'm going to be using is chicken bedding. Now in order for me to use the chicken bedding, I got to get access to the chicken bedding, so I got to take this door off. Now if you don't have chickens and you don't have access to chicken bedding, any kind of carbon is going to work just fine. And in fact, what I'm going to be replacing this bedding with is some straw right over just outside the camera frame. That by itself would be all you would need to bring this back to an aerobic condition. So if you don't have chickens, don't stress. You can still fix. Remember, you can do all of this stuff without having to have chickens. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is get a wheelbarrow full of this carbon material. This is a combination of straw and wood chips, or I should say pine shavings. It's a little bit of a combination of both. Depending on what kind of compost you're trying to make will determine which carbon you're using. Remember to look up a carbon and nitrogen ratio chart whenever you're picking out a carbon, because not all carbons are created equal. There are some carbons that are going to be way, way higher in carbon, for example, wood chips, than some of your other carbon sources like straw. Like wood chips can be anywhere between 300 or 500 to 1 carbon and nitrogen, while your straw can be closer to like 50 to 1 carbon and nitrogen, which means it's going to break down faster, basically. This high carbon input is going to take a while to break down. So just keep that in mind whenever you're picking. And then once I get a wheelbarrow full, I'm going to dump all of this stuff right here in this puddle. Now you might be thinking, hey dude, it's anaerobic. Why are you using that puddle? Well, this carbon is super dry. It was chicken bedding first. So I know that it's going to soak up that little excess water and it'll be just fine. Especially given the amount of carbon that I'm going to be adding to this high nitrogen input. It's going to be about 50-50. So if you have stuff that looks just like this, it's just caking together. It's just like really, it's just a mess. If it's looking like that, then you want to go roughly about 50-50, especially if it's very, very funky. So your compost shouldn't be funky. So I got my carbon. I'm using a carbon base, and I'm going to get this a little bit right here. And if you're not using chickens, then you want to break up any patties, any compaction, stuff like that. You're not going to get it all your first time. So as you flip it in the future, just keep in mind, like, hey, anytime I see any clumps, I'm going to go through and either just break it up with your pitchfork or break it up with your hands, whatever you want to use. But you just got to remember, you got to break up those clumps. Now, I'm using the chicken. Oh, that's can't say this too loud, but this right here is a bunny piece. Found him in the garden, and I think it was one of potentially the neighbor's pets that they let loose and then started reproducing and then became like a whole. The only damage I have to my garden is what these rabbits have done. So in the compost and chicken feed they go. And I'm saying that quietly because the neighbor's kids are outside and I don't want them to necessarily find out this way. And then once I get enough of this in here, I'm going to get another wheelbarrow full of the carbon input, and I'm just going to layer it. It's going to look like one of those layered cakes basically after I'm done. And a little trick to break up some of those compacted patties is just take your pitchfork and bounce it up and down, and you'll make a lot of progress just by doing this without even kind of getting your hands dirty or anything. That was an orange, which leads me to my next question, or the next topic, is that inevitably somebody's going to ask me, hey, can I compost this? Can I compost that? And here's your rule for composting when it comes to hot compost. If it has ever lived, it can live again via compost. You'll see like a bunch of recipes online, and they'll say, don't do this, don't add that. It's going to kill your compost. Don't add dairy products or meat products or anything like that. That's all a bunch of crap. They don't know what they're talking about. They're also using a cold composting method. This is hot composting. And I'm basically going to go back and forth. I just layered my nitrogen, and then I'm going to add more of the carbon to the nitrogen and just go back and forth over and over again. You all see that white that's right there at the tip of my finger? That is a clear indicator of anaerobic conditions. That's called actinobacteria. That's right in the in-between stage of anaerobic and aerobic. But given the rest of the, it's a book. It's not a sentence, it's a book. Given the rest of what I'm reading here, I know that I have very anaerobic conditions. This is normal in your first couple of flips in compost, but as it gets older, you definitely don't want to be seeing that in your compost. It's perfectly normal to see that in the center of your compost, like after you, first make your pile and things like that. But there's not really much to do with this information. I'm just pointing out like, hey, this is one of the characters involved when it comes to the composting process, and something that you'll most likely encounter, just like that right there. Something you'll most likely encounter. Now, it's not a fungi. If it's a fungi, you'll know, like, it being a book and not just a sentence, you'll know you have aerobic conditions, and then these white strands will be a lot thicker. This is a very fine white, strands and everything. The fungi will look more like veins, basically. All right, it's getting dark on me at 5 o'clock now, so I got to hurry up and show you guys the end product of this video, or of this whole thing. But that's the last addition of carbon. I'm just going to stack it all up. I'm going to go around the entire pile, and anything that's rolled off, anything that's fallen off, I'm just going to get on top of this pile. Now, given this system, it's going to be just, till tomorrow. The chickens are going to go through, and then they're going to scratch it. Now, in this particular system where this applies, if you're doing the 18-day compost or a chicken exclusionary system where you don't have like chickens involved in your composting, then you can pretty well leave it here and everything is going to stay put. But with the chicken tractor on steroids system, my chickens are going to be scratching through this tomorrow. So at the end of every day, I'll come through, rake it up, and everything should be pretty well incorporated pretty doggone quickly. Now, as far as the inside of the coop goes, all I'm going to do is add a couple of bales of straw to it, and this will go into being my next compost ingredients, basically. Now, for those of you, the guys that like knives, this is the what is this? The Microtech MSI Flat Earth Smoky Mountain Knife Works special. I don't really care about the like limited editions or anything like that. It's just this was a far cheaper Microtech to get into. Awesome, super sturdy knife. I know most of you guys aren't interested in knives, but for those 5 people that are watching that are, it's a really cool knife. I highly suggest the Microtech MSI. Also, a way cheaper Microtech to get into. All right, chickens, chill. But as far as like adding the straw to the compost or to the coop, I'm just gonna lay out the flakes. I know. And the chickens are largely going to spread everything out for me. So I don't even really need to focus on spreading anything out or anything like that. And in this system, I'm going to be using 2 bags of the straw. This stuff, as it comes out of the compressed bag, it's going to expand. The chickens are going to go through it. They're going to get a lot of the seeds, things like that. You don't really need to spread it out. They'll take care of most of it. So, and that's it. That's how you fix soggy, anaerobic, really, really bad compost. Sorry for the lighting. I know it's getting dark on us. Freaking stupid daylight savings time. It is what it is, or whichever one this is. And that's it. So remember, Sovereign Health Summit, that's going to be next year. Can't wait to see you guys there. It's all linked down below. Discount codes linked down below, all that type of stuff. And if you need an online permaculture design education, hit up the Patreon down below. And if you need an on-site permaculture consultation or a soil biology test, which is basically a consultation for your soil, then hit up the email down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.